I suspected my wife was planning a divorce, so I moved my assets. 2 weeks later, she filed for the divorce, then backtracked when her plan backfired. Has anyone else been completely blindsided by someone they thought they could trust? My wife of 6 years dropped divorce papers on me out of nowhere, but what I discovered afterward changed everything. Before we jump into the video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to Redditpick. Let's begin. I've been a long-time lurker here, never thinking I'd have a story worth sharing. But life has a way of throwing curveballs, and I've been carrying this around for months. I need to get it off my chest. Let me start by saying I've never been the type to jump to conclusions or assume the worst. My wife, let's call her M, and I have been together for 6 years, married for 4. Things were solid, or so I thought. We had our ups and downs, but nothing that made me think, oh, there's a problem here. We were that couple, the kind that laughed at stupid inside jokes, argued over which movie to watch, and had a rhythm that just worked. We met in college, and from the moment we started dating, it felt like we were on the same wavelength. She was my best friend, my partner in crime, and the person I trusted most in the world. We built a life together, bought a house, adopted a dog, and even talked about starting a family someday. But around 6 months ago, things started to change. At first, it was small things. She started carrying her phone everywhere, even to the kitchen or while folding laundry. Before, her phone would sit on the coffee table for hours, and she didn't mind if I picked it up to check the time or look something up. One day, I joked, "What? Are you running a secret spy ring now?" She laughed and said, "No, work's been emailing me a lot." Okay, fine. I didn't think much of it at the time. But then she added a password to her phone, something she'd never done before. When I casually asked why, she gave a vague answer about security and hackers. It felt off. It didn't stop there. She started taking calls outside the room, disappearing into the bedroom or onto the porch. If I asked who it was, she'd say, "Just a friend from work." Then I noticed her keeping her phone face down on the table. It was subtle, but it stuck with me. The distance grew. Conversations that used to flow easily now felt like pulling teeth. When I brought up future plans, like where to go for our anniversary or saving for a new car, she'd nod and say, "Yeah, we'll see," before changing the subject. It all came to a head one day when she said she was meeting a friend for coffee. I happened to be running errands nearby and thought I'd surprise her. But when I arrived, she wasn't with her friend. She was outside the cafe, pacing with her phone to her ear. I overheard her say things like, "It's almost ready," and "starting fresh soon." My stomach sank. When she got home, I asked how her coffee date went. She spun a story about her friend complaining about her boyfriend. But the way she told it felt rehearsed, like she was covering something up. A few days later, she brought up organizing our finances, something we'd never discussed before. She wanted all our account info, passwords, and documents in one place, just in case of emergency. I asked what kind of emergencies she meant, and she shrugged. "It's just smart, isn't it?" That's when I knew something was wrong. I started digging. I checked our joint account and noticed small withdrawals over the past month. Nothing huge, but enough to raise red flags. I reached out to a lawyer friend who advised me to protect my assets. Reluctantly, I transferred everything into a trust under my mom's name. 2 weeks later, M sat me down and said, "We need to talk." "I think we should get a divorce," she said, her voice calm and rehearsed. She talked about needing space and feeling like she'd lost herself in the marriage. But then she dropped this. "You know, I've made a lot of sacrifices for you over the years, and I don't think you really appreciate them. I deserve more." That stung. The divorce papers arrived on Monday. She wanted half of everything: the house, my savings, the car, even spousal support. It was aggressive, like she was trying to take me for everything I had. But I was ready. At the mediation session, my lawyer handed over the paperwork showing I'd transferred all major assets into a trust weeks before she filed. Her lawyer's confident demeanor crumbled as he flipped through the documents. "You planned this," she said, glaring at me. "You knew I was going to file, and you set this up to screw me over." I didn't respond. The rest of the mediation was a blur. Her lawyer tried to regroup, but the trust was airtight. She left furious, and the call started soon after. First calm, then desperate, then angry. "This isn't over," she said. "You're going to regret this." I already regret trusting you, I thought. But the story doesn't end there. Update 1. A mutual friend, Matt, reached out to me a few weeks later. He had something I needed to see. Text messages between M and a guy named Jake. The texts were damning. Jake had been coaching her through the divorce, telling her to make him feel guilty and don't back down. One message from her read, "Once the settlement's done, we'll have everything we need." It all made sense now. The sudden distance, the financial demands, the coldness, it wasn't just about her. She had been planning this with Jake, and he was pulling the strings. Matt explained that Jake was a co-worker she'd been spending a lot of time with. He'd been feeding her ideas about how to secure her future, which apparently meant taking me for everything I had. I felt sick reading the messages. It wasn't just the betrayal. It was the calculated nature of it all. She wasn't just leaving me. She was trying to destroy me in the process. Update 2. The texts spread among our mutual friends, and the tide turned quickly. People who had been sympathetic to her started distancing themselves. Even her brother reached out to apologize for believing her side of the story. "I didn't know what she was doing to you," he said. "I'm sorry I ever took her word for it." It was a small comfort, but it meant a lot. For weeks, I'd felt like I was the villain in her narrative, but now people were starting to see the truth. Jake disappeared as soon as things fell apart. Without him, M's confidence crumbled. The calls and texts became desperate. "Can we just talk, please?" she begged in one voicemail. "I'll do anything to fix this." Another message said, "You don't have to forgive me, but can't we just settle this and move on? I'll drop everything if you just talk to me." I didn't respond. It wasn't out of spite. I just didn't know what to say. The woman I'd loved for years had become a stranger, and I couldn't trust anything she said anymore. Her family started distancing themselves too. Her mom, who had always been kind to me, stopped answering her calls. Her brother told me she'd been trying to spin the story as a misunderstanding, but no one was buying it. The hardest part was realizing how calculated it all was. This wasn't just a spontaneous decision. It was a plan she'd been working on for months, maybe longer. And Jake had been right there, feeding her ideas and encouraging her to take everything she could. I couldn't help but wonder if she ever really loved me, or if I was just a stepping stone to whatever life she thought she deserved. Update 3. The divorce was finalized a few months later. She walked away with only her personal belongings. The house, my savings, and everything else were safe in the trust. It was a bittersweet victory. On one hand, I was relieved to have protected myself. On the other, it hurt to know that our marriage had come to this. I've been focusing on rebuilding my life. My mom has been a huge help, coming over with paint and furniture to make the house feel like mine again. We spent weekends redecorating, turning the space into something that reflected who I am now, not who I was with her. I also started therapy. At first, I was hesitant. I didn't think I needed it. But talking to someone helped me process everything. It wasn't just about the divorce. It was about rebuilding my sense of self-worth. As for M, she's tried reaching out a few times, but I've ignored her. The last I heard, she moved to a different city and started a new job. Part of me hopes she's doing okay, but I know I can't be part of her life anymore. I've reconnected with old friends too. Some of them had drifted away during the marriage, but they've been incredibly supportive since everything happened. It's been nice to have people in my corner again. I've even started dating again, though it's been slow. I'm not ready to jump into anything serious, but it's been nice to meet new people and remind myself that there's life after divorce. Final update. It's been a year since the divorce, and I'm in a much better place. The house feels like home again, and I've surrounded myself with people who genuinely care about me. I've taken up new hobbies too. I joined a local hiking group, which has been a great way to clear my head and stay active. I've also started cooking more, experimenting with recipes I never would have tried before. Therapy has been a game changer. I've learned a lot about myself, how to set boundaries, how to recognize red flags, and how to prioritize my own happiness. It's been a long journey, but I feel like I'm finally starting to heal. As for M, I've made peace with what happened. I don't hate her, but I don't miss her either. She's a chapter from my past that I no longer read. The whole experience taught me a lot about trust and self-preservation. Sometimes, you don't see the storm coming until it's too late. But you can always rebuild. I'm not sure what the future holds, but for the first time in a long time, I'm excited to find out.